So it started off as a typical boring business dinner. You know what I'm talking about. 6 people that barely know each other, acting like they like each other, all trying to figure out what they can get from each other. Yeah, sounds like a good time, right? But 10 minutes in, everything changed when I looked over at Dan and I said, hey man, tell him about that time that you worked with Beyonce. Now, Dan, as I'm going to call him, technically signed an NDA, so he wasn't supposed to talk about a lot of this stuff till 2067. But since nothing was being written down and it wasn't like he was around a YouTuber that was going to blab about it, he decided to dish out some great info. Seriously, that conversation went from boring and forgettable to memorable, and everybody now knew Dan as the go-to guy who had worked with high-profile celebrities and could help their business. And we also felt special. We got an inside look at the way Beyonce and Jay-Z operate. And gentlemen, that's the power of a great story. It creates a lasting first impression, so you will never be forgotten. Now, really quick, when it comes to stories, understand they don't have to be friggin' amazing. I mean, it's cool if you've got stories that make you look smart, make you look connected, but the key with a great story, especially when you're making a first impression, is that it's related to what you're talking about and it's going to make you seem more human. Not that you're not, it's just sometimes, you may come off as robotic. I mean, seriously, I read the comments. I see that some of you guys think I am an AI generation or I'm a robot, and below me, yeah, that there are no pants, there are no legs. No, I do have pants, I do have legs. Real stories make you authentic, and people want to be around authentic people, especially in a conference or in a business setting. So the next tip on this list to making a powerful first impression is to shut up. Seriously, stop talking and listen. Really hear what people are saying. So often we're meeting somebody for the first time, and instead of listening to them, you know what we're doing? We're waiting for our turn to speak. Seriously, you will blow people away if you actively listen to them. If you hear what they're saying, you digest it, and then you come back with good questions that ask them to expand on certain points that you found interesting. This is especially true in a dating situation. There's a common belief out there that women talk more than men. Maybe later in the relationship, but they show on the first date. Guess what? Guess who dominates the conversation? The guys in general. So take a step back. Get good at asking questions. Find ways to find out what you want to find out just simply by prodding, by throwing in those questions that lead you to hear what you want to hear. And this doubly applies to business because everybody wants to talk about themselves. They want to talk about their business. They want to talk about what they're doing. So be the person that sits back and listens, ask questions. So that being said, how to introduce yourself in 15 seconds so people never forget who you are and what you do. Now, gents, before I share with you that tip, I want to talk about today's sponsor, Carl Friedrich. So gents, when you're traveling, you want to look good, right? You want bags that have a timeless design. You want luggage that can stand up to the beating of travel, at the same time look amazing upon arrival. Now guys, when I'm traveling, I like to travel light, and Carl Friedrich's Carry On Pro is my go-to piece of luggage. So what I love about this bag is it has a solid aluminum frame, and then built around it is a lightweight polycarbonate shell. Basically, it looks good, it's incredibly light, and it can take a beating. But it's the attention to the details that sets Carl Friedrich apart. In fact, when you look on the luggage, you see the Italian leather detailing, and this isn't just any leather, this is vegetable tanned vachetta leather. The same thing with those wheels. Most people don't know a whole lot about luggage wheels, but these are Hinomoto spinner wheels. That's a Japanese brand that is renowned for their quality and their durability. And if you need quick access to your laptop, just use the external hard shell pocket for easy access. Now I could sit here and tell you that I think this is the best piece of luggage on the market, but I think Carl Friedrich does it better by offering a 100-day trial guarantee. They've got a lifetime warranty, worldwide shipping. Gents, what you're gonna see is timeless style. What you're gonna see is these bags work together. So if you get one of their briefcases, if you get one of their backpacks, actually it will fit right in with their luggage. They are the best value for quality and for style that I have ever seen. So gents, to get the best deal on the web, to have a bag that's going to last your lifetime and continue to look great, check out Carl Friedrich. I'm linking to him down in the description of today's video with the best deal on the web. So use it or lose it. Awesome company. Now you may be thinking, well, how do I talk about myself? So I was just at a conference and went through this about 200 times. Now from those conversations, there were 3 things I picked up on. First up, it's confirmed. People love to talk about themselves. Second, after that person talking about themselves for 3 to 5 minutes and you ask an active questions, you know very quickly whether or not that person is a good fit, someone you want to stay in touch with. And third, after a few minutes of talking about themselves, most people all of a sudden realize that they have been talking about themselves and they become very curious as to who you are and what you do. And yes, I know there's about 10% of people that will never ask who you are or what you do. And I found that every single one of those people, to be honest, I wasn't interested in staying in touch with. All right, so I promised you a way to introduce yourself so that people will never forget who you are and what you do. This is more for a business setting, but what you want to do is think about the problem that you solve. For me, you know how most men don't dress well. Most guys will agree like, oh yeah, I could definitely step up my style. So everyone agrees there's this problem. And that's key because they have admitted that this is an issue, that this is a problem out there. Then you just simply say, I solve that with this. For me, I create videos, I have courses, I provide articles and infographics that break this out and make it simple. Altogether, if you keep it tight, that should take less than 15 seconds. And here's why this way of introducing yourself is so powerful, because you didn't introduce yourself as a person, you introduced yourself as a solution. Because let's face it, if you sell insurance, if you repair cars, if you work in IT, then most people you're going to talk with on a daily basis don't need your services. So yeah, you're at work, maybe if you're taking inbound leads, but for most of us, just simply at an event, meeting new people, we're not talking to someone that needs our services right then. But I can't tell you how many times I'm speaking with a woman. She's like, oh my gosh, my brother needs to find your channel. I'm going to write down and I'm going to show my husband your videos. The point I'm getting at here is names are arbitrary. They're hard for people to remember, but not solutions, not who that person is and the story around them. And the best part about all this is that you made an impression. You had an impact within 15 to 30 seconds. And again, if you do it right, I can tell you from experience, you'll have people coming up to you later saying, hey, I've heard about you. I've heard about what you do. Tell me more. Because other people, not even meaning to, they will refer business to you. And all of a sudden, yeah, you become somebody that is sought out, somebody whose intro is memorable. Now, what about style? What about clothing? This is a whole channel that talks about that. And really quick, did anyone notice my pocket square disappeared? Got to get this thing set. It keeps falling in. Point being is we notice small details. We notice things on clothing. And what we really notice is when somebody betrays expectations. By that, I mean that they're dressed in a way that they don't look the part. A famous television example is Susan Boyles. Whenever we saw this woman, everyone was laughing. She did not look the part of a good singer. In fact, everyone was expecting her to bomb, but all of a sudden she opens her mouth and everyone is in awe. This woman can sing and it was absolutely beautiful. So my point here is dress to the expectation of who you are. If you are a lawyer, there's an expectation of how even a lawyer at a construction firm dresses. And I'm not saying you got to wear a suit, but if you are somebody that's supposed to pay attention to the details, then pay attention to the details in the way you put that casual outfit together. You see, human beings are lazy. We like to use shortcuts. We've got boxes in our minds of what a success looks like in particular industries, you know, what a successful athlete's going to look like, what a realtor is going to look like. And you can either meet that expectation, you can exceed that expectation, which I would recommend. I would have something unique. Again, you could be in IT, but you can look like the manager. You can have an eclectic, facial hairstyle. You can pay attention, make sure that your shirts are a little bit more fun. If you're in a creative industry, this is even better. You can wear glasses that have a color to them. Maybe wear a pocket square, but have a little bit more fun, and you can even something you designed. This makes sense, and it reinforces who you are. The opposite is to not care. The opposite is to not understand that your clothing speaks for you and for it to betray expectations because all of a sudden it's putting you down. It's not making you look like the professional you know yourself to be. It speaks for you in a negative way before you even have a chance to open your mouth. The next tip is to smile and grab your crotch. Seriously, when you're in the bathroom, go to the mirror. Smile. Make sure that there's nothing in your teeth, especially if you're at a meal, if you were eating with others. You don't want to have that random thing in your teeth everyone's too embarrassed to tell you about. And when I say touch your crotch, you're making sure that you zipped up. It's that double check right before I leave the bathroom, making sure everything is in place. And it's something that I don't have to think about. I naturally run my fingers up that way. Just something that you got to do as a guy because you don't want to have that fly open. All of a sudden, part of your shirt hanging out is just going to sabotage your look. So now let's talk about engaging people. You're going up to somebody. What do you want to do? You want to extend your hand to shake. Not everyone's going to want to do that. Sometimes you're going to get the fist bump. That's cool nowadays. Make sure that you're smizing. And by smizing, I mean you're smiling with your entire face, with your eyes. So there is a real smile. We can tell, we can see it. If it's a fake smile, people can pick up on. Now, one thing I think about, I just am genuinely happy to be here. I'm having a good time. Man, who's this guy? I approach people as well. And I know I'm hitting a lot of points here, assuming that they are going to like me. And it's like I've seen an old friend, even though I've never met this person, maybe I've seen him across the room. The majority of us, we are really bad when it comes to hiding false body language that we are apprehensive, that we don't want to be here. So you've got to change and you've got to reframe that mindset that you want to be here, that you're excited, and you have this gratitude for the moment that you're in. So you've given that firm handshake, you've given them a real smile, you've started the conversation. Guess what? You want to mimic their body language. Now, you don't have to always do this and it can come off weird, especially if the person is very closed off, but you can, I've seen some masters be able to pull that off. But in general, most people are going to be open. So you want to be open. And what you want to be careful of is you sabotaging the conversation by closing yourself off, all of a sudden making yourself smaller, making it look like you're protected. All of a sudden, people just get this feeling that you're guarded, that you're hiding something. Now, earlier we talked about names and how most people can't remember them. So don't be afraid to write names down. I love doing this technique. Actually, Bill Clinton was big about this. He would just say, hey, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. Do you mind if I write this down? He would get the spelling. Even if the person had already said it, can you spell it for me? And most people, they're not going to have an issue with this. You just put it right there in your notes. Maybe you got a pen and paper, you can write it down. Now, in a social setting, it's kind of weird to take somebody and put them right into your contact. But in a business setting, within 3 to 4 minutes, if you're like, dude, I got to stay in touch with this person. There's nothing wrong with turning your phone over to the contacts and quickly, set it up for them. So all they have to do is quickly enter their name and phone number if you know you want to stay in touch. And when you're trying to remember things, know that it's not just about repeating it in your head. It's also about association and saying it out loud. People love the sound of their name. So don't be afraid to say it a few times. Don't be weird about it, but know that, hey, you can develop a little bit of that muscle memory. I don't know about any of you guys, but I used to play piano as a kid. I can still sit down and belt out some songs that I have not really studied or practiced on for years because I've got that muscle memory with the fingers. It's the same with people's names. When you practice saying that name a few times in the conversation, you are much more likely to remember it. Now, this next tip to be memorable, to make a great first impression, is totally underrated. And a lot of guys think, it's a waste of time. Guys, it's incredibly powerful to form a deep connection with somebody, believe it or not, is small talk. Now, the thing with small talk, when done correctly, all of a sudden it opens up people. It creates connection. And in a way, it brings down people's defenses, especially when they're at a business event, when they're at a social setting, they don't know anybody. But hey, at the conference I was just at, it was an elevator with a guy. We were going up and he had this amazing handlebar mustache. Complimented him on it. He thanked me. Then I asked where he was from. Casper, Wyoming. All of a sudden, I'm like, hey, I had family in Buffalo. And yes, there's a distance between the two cities, but anyone from Wyoming knows Wyoming talk. All of a sudden, we're talking about the mountain ranges. We're talking about just growing up there. I had flown out in and out of the Casper airport as a kid. I had all these great memories. And for 5 minutes, it was just simply talking about Wyoming. Now, that small talk had no connection with the conference and what we were there for. But all of a sudden, Jeremy was opening up to me. He was much more interested in hearing about who I am, what I do. And we were able to go into deeper conversations because we had broken the ice, because we realized we had a lot more in common than most people would think. Now, this next tip to make a powerful first impression could have easily been number one, but I think you got to be careful with it because it can backfire. If you're going to use this technique, you need to be confident with who you are, and you need to understand that some people may take it wrong. So when you meet somebody who is straight up not having it, they're not having a good time and they're expressing that, or you realize that this person has an opinion and they're voicing it that you completely disagree with, well, don't be afraid to take a chance and to say what you really think. Now, this can go south quickly, especially if you're dealing with a crazy person. But if you have good reason to assume that this person actually is logical, that you could have a nice conversation with them, don't be afraid to say what you truly believe. Because here's the deal. A lot of successful people, especially when it comes to us guys, we appreciate when we hear genuine feedback from somebody, their real opinion. Even if we disagree with it, we want to know what they think. So many people are surrounded by yes men, yes women, and it's nice. It's refreshing sometimes to get an honest, straight back opinion. And I'm not talking about you pontificating, you trying to convert them. No, your goal is to simply be understood. And if you agree with their point, maybe just reinforce and let them know that, hey, you 100% agree with their assessment. When done correctly and under the right circumstances, this can very quickly build a deep relationship. Now, before I get to the number one tip, this next one can be confusing, especially when people come from different cultures, different countries, and that is eye contact. In general, here in the West, when you're engaging with somebody one-on-one, we're talking about 50 to 75% of the time, you want to be having eye contact. Now, it's okay if you look, you're thinking, it's okay if you're distracted by something, but in general, you want to be giving the person the respect of eye contact. If you feel it's a little bit too much, don't be afraid to break it off. And sometimes, people get confused looking at two eyes. Just look at one. Maybe just look over to the side a bit, nod as they're talking, but eye contact in the West is a sign of respect. Now, if you're talking to 2, 3, 4 people, take that eye contact and increase it slightly, maybe to 80%, and then spread it evenly across. And that's key. You don't want to, exclude somebody and not pay attention to them on the side, which, by the way, is another powerful first impression technique. Whenever you see somebody trying to sneak into the conversation, open up the circle and invite them. Introduce them to other people. Even if you didn't start the conversation, you're going to come off as the person in charge, and it's just good manners to be able to bring people in. All right, gentlemen, so there were a lot of great tips in this video, but what is the number one tip for creating a powerful first impression so that you are never forgotten? Now, straight up, this tip does not always work. It's not practical in all situations, but I find that when you can do it, when you can take this action, all of a sudden you can create friendships for life. It can work in your personal life. It can work in your business life. And the key here is having the courage to bring it up, to suggest, to make it happen. The tip, gentlemen, is to reframe the setting. Example, at this latest event I went to, I'm in line and I realize there are 300 people in front of us. And it looks like we're going to be waiting in line for probably the next 2 hours. This was bad. So we could all just stand there and talk like everybody else, but I realized I've got a cool group of people. Well, that group and a few others that decided to show up later, we all agreed, you know what? Let's just go bowling. The line is going to be here. In fact, when we get back in 2 hours, it's probably going to be a lot smaller. Let's go have some fun. Let's get out of the sun. Let's go have something to drink and just hang out. I can tell you that by reframing that setting, by us choosing to put ourselves in a different environment in which we could actually build real friendships, have fun, talk, all of a sudden that became one of the highlights of the event, I know for me and for the guys that were there. All right, Jen, so what video to watch next? Boom, I got you covered with this video right here. Just click it magically. You will go to the next video, which it is awesome. It's a good one. Boom, seriously, click it. Come on. Why are you still here? Click it. Go check it out right there.